What is the difference between the elite level athlete and the weekend warrior? So I'm Walker Reynolds. I'm the president and founder of Full-Strength.AI. I grew up in upstate New York. I was a poor kid, dirt ass poor kid. We had to save up to be poor. But I grew up in a family that taught three very, very valuable pillars for life. Number one, discipline. Number two, respect. Number three, hard work. And the family that I grew up in talked a lot about, until you have those three pillars on lockdown, don't focus on anything else. And so the foundation upon my life, upon which I do everything in my life, is based on those three pillars. And then later on, I translated those three pillars into the 5 core values upon which I operate all my companies: transparency, authenticity, expertise, humility, and servant leadership. And then our life's mission, literally the goal for my life, is to help save and create middle-class jobs in the US. That's my goal. And it's because I grew up in a place and a time when middle-class jobs evaporated in the Northeast. And that was just a function of us not leveraging technology. So I've dedicated my life to using technology to help save and create middle-class jobs. I'm a 49-year-old engineer and entrepreneur who specializes in digital transformation. I built my career, my engineering reputation, on helping manufacturers digitally transform so that we can remain viable in a global economy. That is, manufacturing in the United States can remain viable. I built my entire reputation on helping manufacturers remain viable by becoming digital. What's happened is I'm also a strength athlete. And over the last 2 years, I've been converging together that which I do in my professional life with what I do in my personal life, powerlifting with my team. The interesting thing that's happening right now is we're transitioning from the 4th to the 5th industrial revolution. 5th industrial revolution is all about artificial intelligence, the convergence of artificial intelligence with human intelligence. And that's sort of where our vision system comes from. It's very much a 5th industrial revolution product. One of the things that just stands out to me over the last 3 years of being very, very serious lifter is the sheer number of people who come and go. There's 40 core lifters at our gym. There are thousands that come through. I mean, that's not hyperbole. There are literally thousands of people that have come through the gym. And I've asked the question over and over and over again, why do they come and leave? Why don't they stay? Why is it that 40 of us are in love with it and thousands come and they don't stay? And the answer is, I really think it's just one of three things. I think it's either they don't know what to do and they're embarrassed and they're afraid to ask for help. Number two, they don't see the return, the gains that they're looking for right away, and the soreness outweighs the gains that they see and they don't come back. And number three, they don't feel welcome. And so I wanted to use technology that we use with manufacturing to solve the first two problems. And the first two problems is, teaching them what to do and then maximizing the return on those gains. One of the technologies that I came across as a consultant was what's known as pose estimation. Pose estimation is basically zero contact, where I have a vision system that's looking at you. I can train a model that can tell me the pose that you are in by drawing dots on all of your joints and then drawing lines between each of those dots. So I can literally turn your body position into digital data. So the way that pose estimation is used in manufacturing is generally, what we do is we estimate your pose when you're doing a certain repetitive task. So a really good one in tier 1 automotive is when a door gets put on a car, that door actually gets welded. It'll have hinges on it. The door comes to the door like this, and a person is guiding it, and they're placing it on. A robot runs the beads, and then they close the door. And they do that over and over and over and over again every day. So what we wanted to do is we use pose estimation to tell you how to place that door against the car in a way where you're not going to end up with a repetitive use injury. And we had to do it the exact same way. We're not going to put sensors on the operator, right? So we have to be able to just view the operator, and is the movement such that we're going to reduce the likelihood of injury if they do that movement 100 times in a shift. Where the idea for our vision system came from was, well, why don't we use pose estimation to improve the experience of the strength athlete? So why don't I just test it? And that's where the vision system came from. I bought a maker board by NVIDIA, Jetson Nano. I bought a Sony camera sensor. I built a prototype, coded it all myself over 8 months, and developed a system that could basically focus on 3 compound lifts: the deadlift, the bench press, the squat. And the original goal was to really do 3 things. Number 1, how is your form? And how repeatable is your form? This is a really big distinction. If I'm doing 5 reps, how similar are the 5 reps that I just did in that movement? Number 2, what is my force and velocity? So that is, how can I convert a movement into force and velocity without putting any sensors on you? How do we do it 0 contact? And then number 3, how can I predict what your 1 rep max is? One of the things that I've observed in the gym, and this is a phenomenon lots of people have seen, the people who have a mental block on a certain lift, you know they're strong enough. It was literally just a mental block. So what I wanted to be able to do was use technology to reinforce to the athlete, you're capable of this. That if I look at this and I go, yeah, I'm capable of this. If you look at Eddie Hall, for example, Eddie demonstrated to the world what you can achieve when you push past the limitations you have in your own head. He had to convince himself that he could lift 500 kilos. But I want to use technology to tell you beforehand, you're capable of doing it. The goal should be to get athletes to fall in love with the gym, to actually love being there. If you look at the people who are there, people who are in any gym, who are your regular go-to, it is a part of their life. They're depressed when they don't go to the gym. They love it. And I think that this is a thing that a lot of weekend warriors who are just getting involved in strength training don't understand. That the primary goal needs to be with falling in love with the gym. And the whole mission of this vision system was to really achieve that. Now, I had already been thinking, we need to make it easy for people to collect their workouts on their smartphone. Everybody's already got their smartphone. They're listening to their music through their smartphone. They're taking videos of their PRs with their smartphone. The one thing that everyone has in a gym, it's literally the one thing, other than probably shoes, is a smartphone. So I had already been thinking about developing an application that was really the type of application I needed as a strength athlete to be able to track my waves. I want to be able to look and go, am I faster today than I was 3 weeks ago when I did my top set triple? But then what happened was I realized just how much I was having people record me working out so that I could see my form. I realized, holy crap, I'm recording a lot of videos for me to watch manually with my own eyes to try and analyze my form. And I started thinking, we already have the technology that can do the analysis for me. So why don't we do both? Why don't we write this application that's going to help me track, and let's build a vision system that handles the form, pose estimation, already analyzes my form and tells me what I'm doing wrong. And I wanted to be able to predict 3 things. What's my 1 rep max? What's the likelihood I'm going to complete that lift? And what's the likelihood I'm going to get hurt? That's where the idea came from. One of the things I realized very quickly was my data is very inconsistent. So the question was, is it that I'm an inconsistent lifter, or is it I'm a member of a type of lifter who's inconsistent? When we originally trained the model, we collected something like 10,000 videos online. Okay, we just scraped the internet for like 10,000 deadlift videos. There were some rules about the scraping, but anybody could be on there. It could have been some 4-year-old kid pulling, right? That made our data messy. So what we did was we reran the scraper and we only pulled out the data from professional athletes. That was about 1,000 lifts. That's not enough, that really isn't enough to train a model, but we did it. And the model was much more accurate using 1,000 lifts from professionals than it was using 10,000 from a big group of people. So then the idea was, we need to go and collect data off these pro athletes, which is how we got connected with the Shut Classic. So the worst case scenario is we will have to post-process the data and show the athletes afterwards or whatever. But I'm depends. I probably got 8 to 10 hours of optimization.
Okay.
Otherwise,
nope.
But
I get it.
We're in the minimum viable product piece. But
so the front camera, well, both cameras. Let's talk both cameras.
They're gonna be right next to each other.
They'll be right
They're
next to you. Oh, so is there gonna be a man on them?
No.
I'm just trying to think as far as if I were having a front camera, if I'm sitting here, can I see over that camera, and what trajectory do we need to make sure they can see over the camera?
They'll be able to see over. The only issue is that whoever is directly behind the camera, they might have, like, the athlete's legs might be blocked out in a very specific.
Perfect. How far does your camera need to be from the deadlift? Because that therefore we can manipulate the deadlift.
So all of our testing has been at 20 to 25 feet. We're prepared to do it at 60.
Oh, wow.
So I've tested it at 60. So we should be.
So we can play.
Yeah, even if we have a long distance to mess with.
Hopefully when the doors open, but at least when the show starts at 1, the deadlift will be set up. So you should be able to do all your cameras, everything in place, even prior.
Right.
Prior to anyone even showing up.
The only other thing is I'm going to have a Wi-Fi. There will be a Wi-Fi unit.
Okay.
So that I can connect to the unit over my laptop.
Okay.
The only thing I'm worried about at all is can we get close, can we get within 60 feet? As long as we're within 60, we're good?
100% within 60.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it sounds great.
All right, perfect. Super excited.
Oh, yeah, no, we're
so
all
excited.
really excited.
I taught a class this morning for our mentorship group.
Yes, I didn't know if you would make this.
Yeah, so we had like 100 students on this morning, and I was, this is where we're merging together what we do for manufacturers with like the commercial space.
How crazy.
And everybody in our mentorship group is like, man, it's so awesome you guys were able to pull this off. And
that is
we're
incredible.
very, very excited. Yeah, super excited.
The whole time Jared was completely distracted by the fact that Brian was like right over there and he hadn't spoken to him yet. Back up, my son Jared, Brian Shaw is Jared's hero. The more I was following Brian, the more I realized Brian and I are very similar in terms of our values, our missions in life. Like, I believe that there would be synergy, and that if I was going to reach out to any athlete, Brian would probably be the most receptive to the idea because he was a data file, he's mission driven, we have very common values. It meant a lot to me that I was able to make that happen. The look in Jared's eyes, the stars in his eyes, not all of us get to meet our heroes, and there's actually the old adage, never meet your heroes, because most of the time you're gonna be disappointed. If Brian Shaw is your hero and you meet him in person, you are not disappointed. In fact, you want him to adopt you, probably. I mean, it meant a lot that, I was able to make that happen. To see the joy in his face. It meant a lot.
Up our MES boot camp, which is the new training we're offering.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Brian, I'm Walker. Good to see you.
Nice to meet you, brother.
Josh.
Awesome.
This is Jared.
You guys good? Was the trip good?
He's your biggest fan.
Yes.
Love it, man. You're gonna love it.
You're really big.
Thank you.
The big challenge that we were facing when we got there is originally the vision system was determining how much weight was on the bar. Okay. So it was zero contact. That is, we didn't want you to have to input how much weight is in that movement. The problem was, once we got there, we realized how they actually do the weight for the Hummer tire deadlift.
The only other thing is we'll need to know the weight of the bar and each tire. I have to classify that in the morning.
Got it.
So I'll literally, the camera will have to look at the tire. I have to select the tire and say, this weighs.
Gotcha.
Learn this tire and it weighs this much.
We can give you the
Get
loading.
spreadsheet from Andy.
Yeah, the loading. So we had to come up with that. So it's kind of like because the rubber is not a calibrated plate, right? So some of them are like maybe they're 117, maybe they're 116. So this one on this side might be 117, 116, and then the next tire's 116 over here, 117 over here. So we balance the whole bar. So it's the same weight on right and left.
Got it.
But then in between the jumps to make, so like for example, it'll start with 3 tires on it for the first lift, and it'll have some plates with the tires. So it's not only just the tire, it'll have plates.
Regular,
yes.
So we're already classified for Rogue.
They'll be hidden.
And they're all, yep. So it'll be, technically most of the first jumps should slide inside the tire and then be colored. So from a front view, the only person that would ever see the plates would be from the side.
Got
so
it.
like if
Okay.
you're looking from the side, you'd see like a rogue plate in there, or see the guys put them on.
All right, so then what we'll do is you'll announce the weight,
Correct.
so I'll override it. So I'm gonna have to make a change so that I can override the weight.
Got it.
So we'll scan it, and then I'll have to override, and I can just do that from my laptop.
So
And I'm working
technically-
on the spreadsheet, so Andy has the entire spreadsheet. It gives you all the weights of the bar, the weights of the tire, everything.
It's basically what we give to the loaders so that they verify what's going on is correct.
So I had to scramble to rewrite an entry point. I basically had to pull out a loop, take that model away, and then I had to create an entry point where we're first inputting what the weight is. And that actually took me a few hours to do that and test it. So we were scrambling up to that point on how are we going to determine how much weight's on the bar. And so the solution to that was we'll just input it. But the bigger issue had to do with rendering. Because of the hardware that I had selected for the prototype, which was an NVIDIA Jetson Nano with just 2 gig of RAM on the GPU, we were collecting our data at 32 frames a second, and we were drawing the pose on top of the image. Well, the problem is that we didn't have enough horsepower to be able to render the data on a graphical user interface. Most of the analysis that we did with the vision system up to this point was not on live data. It was we were recording videos at the gym, and then they were coming back and we were calling them as files off the disk. Well, it was much easier for the GPU to process the rendering from a file that was on the disk than it was from a stream that was coming on a camera that was plugged into the board. So that was the biggest. Those two things were the biggest challenge. I really appreciate you.
You are more. Thank
talk
you.
to you again.
Yes, 100%.
See you tonight.
It's great to meet. Great to meet all of you, and thank you for being here. And thank you for all the support. Even the camera guys get to shake some hands here. Love it. I love it. Thank you guys. 100%.
We're good.
That is the tallest and biggest person I've ever seen in my entire life. And I can't believe I'm standing in the same room as him. Oh my god.
I was programming right up until the day of the deadlift.
This should run. No idea why that worked, but it did.
And that's more frustrating.
Oh yeah, way more frustrating. You don't learn anything. I mean, it worked. I just don't know why. All right, good. All right, that makes me feel way better. It makes me feel way better. So all I'm doing right here is just debugging. I'm just using a standard program to debug. I'm not running anything. All right, we're good.
So what exactly happened right now?
All right, so there's a Python code base that runs in the background. Python's the language that's doing the machine learning. We're using a Jupyter Notebook as the front end, and the Jupyter Notebook is how we're interacting with our code base. What I'm doing is I'm running a Docker container. I can turn this into many examples of this. I could basically clone this thing over and over and over again. So I'm using a Docker container. Well, that Docker container has a script that runs to configure it so that it runs correctly. Well, for whatever reason, I wasn't able to log into the Jupyter Notebook. And it has to do with a bad certificate that just expired yesterday while we're here. So this is the kind of thing that happens.
Yeah.
Right? So my certificate expired last night. So this morning I couldn't log in. While I had to decide whether I wanted to update the certificate, change the password, remove the authorization, or just recreate my container from scratch. And what I ended up doing was removing the need for the password. Just using a password is a really unreliable way of security. Like, because you could share the password with lots of people and then they'd have access. What you want to do is only allow the people who have the password and they're certified. That's what we're doing here. So what's happening is our browser that we're using to launch the Jupyter Notebook needs to be certified. And what we do is we put a certificate on this device so that my laptop is the only laptop, if it uses the password, that can talk to what's on there. Right now we're gonna have Wi-Fi on the floor. If somebody could hack our Wi-Fi and they were trying to access the Jupyter Notebook and they had the password, they wouldn't be able to access this because it is not certified. Only that laptop can access it. So anyway, that's what we ran into.
What happened was later on during the year, as I'm working on the vision system, the system was getting very good at predicting 1 rep max. So it was going to be, hey, there might be a chance to do a world record here. So one of the cool things about this specific show.
Hey, what was your name again?
Hey, I'm Walker, man. Good
Walker,
to see you.
Ash,
What's up, buddy?
this is the house.
Hey, man.
House right
Nice to
here,
meet you.
These are the guys that are going to be doing the 4.0 solutions with the camera we discussed earlier in our production meeting. Okay. So let's, are we ready to walk through?
We're gonna walk out there right now. Awesome, perfect.
Man. Thank you.
Yeah. So we marked the spots on the floor.
Okay.
Last night where the cameras will go. So the Jackery we'll just put it in the middle. There'll be tripod, and the cameras
as low as possible.
They'll probably be.
Those people paid.
Yeah. Even with the camera on there, it's gonna block the very front of the stage.
Okay. We get one complaint. You know that, right?
Well, what Carrie told us they originally were gonna do for this event
was separate the seats.
Yeah, but then they
give you in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that happen.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. I mean, we can. Well, let's.
Can you not take these 2 seats and just move them?
I don't know. That's Carrie's call, not ours.
Yeah.
Originally, what she was saying was she didn't know if you would have people paired.
I know. I didn't. We don't
that
know
was
Carrie's call. If she had those properly sold in that order,
right?
And then we're splitting people up.
But it shouldn't. If anybody
you get to choose your seats when you made your purchase.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody bought that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, she said she was going to cross-reference.
What we'll do is let's get everything set up.
Let's
get it set up, and then she can.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's do that. All right, rocking.
But thank you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. Do me a favor and set it so that those 2 legs are like that, so we'll be able to put the Jackery right between it. Jared, is that gonna piss somebody off? Well, but the athlete's going to be on the black. They're gonna be on the black.
Yeah. So you still like.
I'm gonna have a camera.
All right.
I doubt that. Come here.
Yeah, take the shortest person we have.
Because you're not even gonna not see the athlete. There's nothing that's gonna block you out.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna block the athlete. Even if I like wanted to.
Let me test from over here. So I will need somebody to stand on the platform.
You see?
Yeah, hold on.
I feel very powerful. I mean, literally, it's like all the seats are pointed directly at you right now. So, I feel very powerful. I feel like you're like the lights are about to cut down. You're about wearing the clown suit and you're about to do, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the show.
What the fuck? If there's any lesson I would teach somebody here is nothing ever goes according to plan. Why isn't it connecting? One of the issues we ran into was we were going to be sitting in the VIP section, which was to the side of the lifters. Our vision system was about 100 feet away from us on the floor, pointing at the platform. Why the fuck is it not connecting? All right.
All right, there we go.
It's showing up now.
Well, it should be 102. It wasn't. We'll find out here in a second.
Originally, the way things were set up was we had a hotspot there. We had a Wi-Fi access point. I was connecting to that Wi-Fi and then going into a web server, opening up a Jupyter notebook and monitoring the data as the lifters were lifting. So between lifts, I would type in the weight, and then I would literally be monitoring the lift over Wi-Fi. The problem was there were so many wireless access points in the arena, it was causing interference with our Wi-Fi. So then we had to make an adjustment.
Ah! Come on, you fucker. Ah, there we go. All right, that makes me feel better about myself.
I'm glad. I like it when you feel good about yourself, buddy.
You need to go in with an understanding that things won't go according to plan and you're going to have to adjust. And one of the ways that we adjusted was we had to move to a physical network, a LAN, as opposed to a wireless LAN.
Just the bar is 125 pounds shit. Just the bar.
I mean, I pull that. I mean, the question, okay, would I get I'm pulling the bar? Probably.
Yeah, I would not touch it. I would not touch anything.
But do you want to?
I do want to.
Oh, no, absolutely. Want to. I could pull that.
Bro, I won't tell if you won't tell.
Except there's like a bunch of other people here.
No,
Jared.
actually.
No, Jared.
Actually, probably not. But.
No, Jared.
Unless you want to risk it, but.
This is not, no, do not risk it.
There's,
Risk it.
oh, what's his name? Trey.
Trey. And then Mitch.
Yeah, there's Mitch.
Mitch might be cool because he's kind of more low-key and cool too.
Yeah, he's new. Well, Mitch has his headphones in. We already spoken to Brian.
Fair enough. Are you
We are officially in the building for the Shaw Classic.
Cool. Hey Tom. Or that's not Tom, that's Luke. I get them mixed up, the brothers. Also, he's definitely in the zone.
He's glad they're too scared to ask him for an interview.
Oh, guys, yeah, of course.
He's not as scary as he looks.
I just wanted to start you while you're getting ready. Okay, so first I'm going to tell you like why we're here. So we're with 4.0 Solutions and Intelligent Integration. Cool. We're doing the vision system for the deadlift.
Yes, I heard about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just wanted to like get your opinions on it and what you think about it.
I think it's cool. You know, any more science we can take into strongman, I think that's part of the improvements that we can make. So we're analysing how our bodies move, really getting an in-depth look in how we're pulling, how we're deadlifting. I think that will really help. Really excited to see what, because we've never had anything done like that before. So it's a first. It's a first for strongman. So I'm really excited, and what better way to have a first thing happening at the Shaw Classic, you know? So it's going to be pretty awesome.
I'm gonna do a quick test just to make sure this works. Rock. All right, go ahead and get up there. Man, it's running really slow. I'm gonna test it from over here, and I've got to do some modifications.
With the big tire from the alternative, that's unfortunately, it might be service done.
Stick your arms out to your side. Okay, you're good. All right. Oh. Yeah. Perfect.
What?
All right, so now I can modify it. We're good. It was a network issue. I don't need that. Well, keep it. Because what I'm gonna do is, as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna make the changes. I'm gonna charge the laptop so I can use it for the whole.
Got it.
So you know where your strengths are. So like if you're pulling out the floor and you're stronger out the floor, middle, top part of your lift, it'll be able to delineate when you're putting the most pressure on the bar.
And it also it'll also tell you like how the bar bends.
Yeah.
And you know how like you are to pull a hamstring.
Yeah, that'll actually be a great training tool, like massive, because you kind of learn where your strengths and weaknesses are and how to train around it and how to fix the problems that you're training with. So yeah, that's an amazing idea.
Whoa, is he gonna move back? Uh-oh. Find out from Carrie if they're actually gonna move that. In fact, get the measurement now. Find out exactly from the center of the board to the front of the camera what our distance is, right? Like right this second.
48 feet. According to this thing. So 60 is going to be the back of that block line, probably. You got to go way back.
That's not good.
Too far. 6 inches back.
All right, go right from the center of that. So what was it? It was 15, you were 33, so
33.
We were at 48 feet?
Yeah, so right now it's probably 45 feet.
All right, so I can't go there. As long as it's within 60, in all the testing, within 60 feet it works.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. You know, as an athlete, you know, or for me, an ex-athlete, you want to be able to see where the breakdown is and where the issue is that's stopping you being able to complete the lift. So all that little information is going to be really beneficial for all the guys, I'm sure.
What is it?
46.9.
Okay. What the fuck happened there?
They moved the deadlift, by the way.
So when?
No, they moved it back. Like they moved it like 15 feet back.
It's still gonna work?
Yeah. We're now at like 46, 48 feet, something like that.
Got it.
We're still, I mean, the 60-foot range is, I mean, it was all the way further than the back of the box. Everything is right at the back of the box they drew out. So we'll be good. We have 12 feet.
So it'll only be there for the deadlift? Okay. Not a problem at all? All right, awesome.
All right, so a couple of things that stood out. All the radio frequency in here, like hardwire is the way to go, 100%. Because like that, all the RF in here turned out to be a nightmare, but works. We're good. So, and by the way, the images look phenomenal. They look incredible. Yeah. So. The week leading up to the Shaw Classic, I did not sleep a lot. I was probably sleeping 4 hours a night. I mean, there was a lot on the line here. I spent a lot of money in the sponsorship. We really didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we're really testing this for the very first time on professional athletes. My biggest fear was that there was going to be some type of issue with the hardware. Like, we had never collected that many lifts back to back to back to back. We had never collected data for an hour and 40 minutes straight. So one of the things I was really worried about was that the board was going to overheat and shut down. So I was doing a bunch of load testing, you know, and I was able to get the board to shut down a couple of times. So there was a real chance that the board would shut down and we wouldn't be able to collect data off of people. $900, $950, $1,000, $1,050, $1,100, $1,150, $1,210. Those were the weight progressions. On the 900 weight, my mindset was, I just want to accurately collect the data and I don't want to see any anomaly in the data. So Constantine's 1 rep max prediction was like 1230 and some change on the first lift. Now Constantine was kind of an outlier because of the way he does a rack pull. He actually pulls the bar very, very hard with a massive amount of force to get the bar above his knees, and then he pulls constant to do a lockout. He's the only athlete who does that.
That was a big one.
Everybody else is using what we refer to as a constant force model. So he was creating data that was predicting a world record that where maybe he didn't have it in him to get it.
Looks like Constantine's the man to beat.
Yeah. Oh,
Gabe is 12, right?
Huh?
Gabe is going 12.
I believe so.
He and Gabe were the only two in the first round where we were predicting they could break the world record. By the time we did the 950 lift, I realized, holy shit, the model is operating at about 99% accuracy. Like what I'm seeing here in front of me, this data is 99% accurate. So we're gonna be able to trust this. When we got to the 1,000 lift, then it was, yeah, this works. And we've predicted a world record. It's gonna happen.
That was a big pull. That was a big pull.
Him and Constantine.
Yeah, him and Constantine, right? Well, we'll see how Gabe pulls.
And then after that, the excitement just kept building. I was nervous in the first round. I was a little nervous in the second round. And then from that, it was just more like euphoria. It was, holy shit, this, not only does this work, it works better than we thought it did.
He's gonna pull this easy.
Yeah.
Unless he got tired, he's gonna pull it easy.
And he hasn't been like holding the
That's crazy. Gabe did one lift too many.
And when Alexi pulled the 1210, I knew he was going to pull it. I knew it already. But there was still part of me, like, what if he doesn't? And then when he just yoked it.
We just predicted a world record.
It's like, wow, this really works. And it was an incredible feeling. I mean, I lost my voice. I mean, I was so, like, holy shit. Like, we did it. Like, we really did it. You know what I mean? And then the MC asks him, God, that looked easy. What do you think you got in you? And he says, I think I got 10 more kilos, and that's like 1250. We predicted 1272.
So going into the event, I was hoping, like, a win today was going to be that the unit, our vision system, ran the entire time.
Catch on fire.
It didn't overheat or catch on fire, and we were able to collect good data. In fact, what actually ended up happening was the system far outperformed what I thought it would. And during the 1,000-pound deadlift, we predicted that there were 3 athletes who would be able to break the world record of 1,202 pounds. That was Gabe Pena, the Alexei Novikov, and the Georgia Bull. By the 1,100-pound lift, Constantine had dropped off in terms of the amount of force off the floor. He did too many lifts. He should have skipped weights, and the same thing with Gabe. On the 1,150-pound lift, we calculated that Alexei Novikov was going to be able to lift 1,272 pounds. When he and Gabe Pena both went for the world record at 1,210 pounds, and he did the pull, we calculated at 1,265. And so what ended up happening today, at the 1,000-pound lift, we predicted a world record was going to be broken, and it actually happened. Moreover, 2 of the 3 athletes that we predicted could break the world record that day, both went for the world record. Only one of them got it.
When Jared and the rest of the team, when you guys had a chance to go tell the athletes how they performed, and when Jared got a chance to tell Gabe, I think, or actually maybe it was Josh, who had a chance to tell Gabe, hey, you had it in you to pull the world record. The look on his face, he was so...
Yeah, and it was a thing that I was having to really walk that line finally. I was talking to my wife back and forth after every lift. The truth that we came down to was that 1150 was a PR, and it was uncharted territory. So it's like kind of the safe route, like let's claim that one. Maybe that took, well, not maybe, it undeniably took something off my top end. But that being said, next year,
Yeah.
It's not
So-
uncharted territory anymore. We can go straight for what comes next.
And I don't know if my dad would care or not if I tell you this information, but when you did the 1150 deadlift, we predicted your max would be 1270 on that lift.
1270?
We predicted your max would be.
That's confidence under my belt. I know, right?
Today far outperformed our wildest expectations. So now the question is, what do we do now? Because it's not ready for the big stage. You still need an engineer interpreting the data. You still need an engineer firing the camera at certain points in order for you to monitor it. So we need to upgrade the hardware. There's a bunch of things that we need to do that we're gonna go ahead and do going forward. And we got a year to make this ready for prime time, forward facing for a mass audience.
Full-Strength.AI is successful if we develop technology that increases the rate of people who stick with their physical fitness journey. Number one, first and foremost. And I really want to introduce this technology in our gym. And then over the course of the next 3 years, see the impact. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it's how do we take this technology and put it in the hands of everyone? And ultimately, our goal is to do it through smartphones. So right now, when we did the Shaw Classic in 2022, we were using $1,000 worth of hardware for the vision system. Today, it's $100 worth of hardware. Tomorrow, it's going to be an application that runs on your phone. So success is if we can get it to the smartphone, and then we can get it into everyone's hands in our gym, and we can see a tangible result increase in the number of people who start at the gym and stick it out. And they do that because they fall in love. They fall in love because they know where they are, and they're seeing the progress through digital data, not staring at a mirror. What we really want to be able to do is collect every set, every rep, every weight for every movement, and then look at that data over time. And what we really want to do is we want to merge the two of them together. The vision system collects the data automatically. The application gives you the ability to analyze that data, in very much as the way that you use other apps on your phone. To that end, we have added a data scientist, this guy named Justin, and now he has developed the second version of the vision system. Justin is now tasked with taking what it is we've proved and works and turning it into a commercial product. After that piece, then it's partnerships with gyms and partnerships with fitness manufacturers. Without my family, many of the things that I've achieved in my life, I wouldn't have achieved. A, because my calculus would have been it's not worth the investment. If I hadn't watched Jared's journey, following Brian and what Brian means to him, I don't know if I would have said, hey, let's reach out to Brian Shaw and see if we can't sponsor the Shaw Classic. Jared played a huge role in that. The bigger thing is this. My family's been along for the entire ride, and we push each other as a family. We succeed and fail as a family. My family is the whole reason I do this. You know what I mean? I honestly, what I do is when it comes to the rest of the world, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pay it forward to the rest of the world, the blessings that I've had in my life. My family's the whole point. Without my family, I probably wouldn't make many of the investments that I make.